Director of Youth Services. Appreciate them being here tonight. They're going to be a part of our presentation in just a moment. Certainly Martha Shoemaker, Jason Adler from WFCT, Pat Keydor from WASA, Brian Lynch from the RTM, and others in attendance. Good evening and welcome.
And welcome to all of our retired teachers, too. I see a lot of you in the audience, and my children were lucky enough to have you when they were in school. Now we're down to public comment, and I think there's a lot of people here tonight. I'm not sure if everybody wants to speak, but I just have to read what our bylaw is. It addresses public comment at the board meeting and designates that a 3-minute time limit will be allowed per speaker for public comment related to any item within the board's jurisdiction, and that a maximum of 20 minutes per meeting be allotted for any one item. Okay, so is there any public comment? Jerry? Oh, please. I know who you are, but tell us who you are, where you live.
Hi, my name is Jerry Baker, and I live in Old Lyme, Connecticut. I'd like these comments included in the minutes of the next meeting if possible. On behalf of dedicated and respected retired Warner teachers, I again repeat our request for a meeting with the Board of Ed to resolve the ongoing issue of how the district continues to inappropriately apply the state subsidies for a large group of retired teachers and spouses. Here are the facts. Number one, the board and the superintendent have the background and information about the teacher's retirement board subsidy that was presented to you on a number of occasions since April of 2016. As far back, number two, as far back as 1990, when insurance premiums were lower than the CRB, the town was fortunate to gain part of that funding by state statute, not by contract, and only when the subsidy exceeded the teacher's premium. As you are aware, insurance premiums have not been less than the subsidy for many, many years. Therefore, the district should not be keeping any portion of the money. The entire subsidy should be applied to the teachers and his or her spouse's premium as stated in the 2006 memo from the CRB and aligned with the state statute. Number three, you received the memo from the CRB in 2006 reminding all Connecticut schools to apply the entire subsidy to the teacher's premium and not to the town's cost. Yet you continue to do so to this date for those who retired prior to 2014. Number four, our request to meet is valid. You recognize your error and you rectify the application of funds for teachers who retired in 2014 and 2015 and those now under the current teacher contract. We ask, why is the same consideration not given to those of us who retired prior to 2014? Some may wonder if this is a purposeful discrimination based on our age. Number five, our request is simple. Please meet with us for an open and fair discussion of this problem and with the goal of corrective action. Meet with us, the retirees who dedicated many years to teach, support, inspire, and care for the youth and families of this town. Meet with us, the loyal educators who worked so hard and for so long for this board. Do what is right and what should have been done years ago. Thank you, and I look forward to a speedy response.
Thank you, Jerry. Is there any more public comment? Sharon?
Yes.
Oh, Bill, tell us who you are and where you live.
Sharon Palmer, I live at 27 Millberry Road at Quaker Hill, and I'm here tonight to support the position of Jerry to spoke about the program. I was president of the Washington Federation of Classroom Teachers in 1990 and for several years before that. I will tell you that there was no intent expressed at the negotiations table with regard to using any portion of the monies received as a subsidy from state teachers' retirement for any purpose other than to offset the cost of training for teachers. No intent expressed at the table to say that part of it could be used for the subsidy and part of it could be used to offset for expenses. And I would also like to say that the 2006 memo
received from the Teachers Retirement Board couldn't be clearer. And what it states is that the subsidy money has to be used for premiums. It's very, very clear. The Board of Education is in violation of that. They are not doing what the Teachers Retirement Board has told them to do. I know that there was a grievance in 2014, and it was a partial fix, but there are still teachers who have been left out of the loop and are still not having the full subsidy applied to their premiums. And so I think it's time to fix it. They've been back to talk with you several times. I think it would be a good move on the part of the Board of Education to put together a working group of some sort to review all the paperwork. I am quite confident that the paperwork will show that the full subsidy should be applied. But at the very least, you should put together the group that looks at that. That has been denied, and that to me is unconscionable. You don't even want to sit down with your teachers union and review the paperwork. That's just not right. And I hope that will change, and that you will, at the very least, have an open mind towards doing what the State Teachers Retirement Board has told you we should be doing with money.
Thank you, Sharon. Is there any more public comment? Yes. Please.
David Scott, resident of Mystic, Connecticut. I was one of the negotiators on that contract as well as several other people here, and we certainly did not put language in there to harm the teachers down the road or at that time. And our intent was to benefit the teachers and to benefit the town by having excellent education, which I think Waterford has had for a long time. And I know that all of these people were very hardworking, many, many hours. I know my day was averaged from 6 in the morning until 5 at night on an average day. But, you know, that didn't include homework that I took home. So we all put our time in, and it's unconscionable that we're being saddled with this, even though you know from the notification of the state that you're not supposed to be doing that. That seems to me to be beyond belief, and I think that it's time to remedy this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anybody else? More public comment? You're not the public.
Request the chair if perhaps these concerns to be addressed. I know the board has addressed it numerous times, specifically in detail. I would request that the chair address these issues, but they know that the board has the intent to specificity in detail. And I don't recall the dates of our meetings, but we addressed them, we had resolutions concerning them. And it's the same thing that's coming back to you. We've already asked and answered. So let's put it in writing once again. We don't want to ignore you. It's not like we have deaf ears. We've heard you, but we've answered the same question before. And furthermore, I keep hearing, make this a part of the record of the meeting. This is not a public hearing. This is a public meeting. Things don't get into the menace just because you stand up and speak. But I think we've addressed them fully, and if the chair would send back those motions that ratify what the board said with respect to those requests, we couldn't have more clarity. And if you can't understand the clarity of our resolutions and motions and statements, I can't help you further.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, now we're moving down to the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the minutes from the December 16th Thank you for coming, everybody. Okay, the motion is second. Second. Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Okay, is there any correspondence?
There is correspondence, which is rare, but there is. A little bit of good news. Not exactly a letter, but it is correspondence from our Avery Point transition program, and they sent along a gift to the board, so I will forward that to the chair. Sure. You might recall in a previous year they provided us with the driftwood fish mosaic up there on the wall, and see what this year brings.
Isn't that right?
That plate is from a building at Avery Point.
Is it really? How thoughtful of them.
With permission.
Made by the Waterford Utah Avery Point Transitional Team. Thank you for supporting our program. Happy holidays.
So we thank our students. Work hard each day out at Avery Point. The other bit of correspondence I received was not written correspondence, but verbal correspondence. You might recall at the last board meeting, under your direction, I did send a letter to the State Board of Education. I CC'd, well, it was to the Commissioner. I CC'd the Chair of the State Board of Education, as well as the Chief Performance Officer, Ajit Gopalakrishnan, as well as the Executive Director of SBAC National. I think it was about 10 minutes after receiving the letter, they called, slight exaggeration, but within a day or two, Craig and I had a lengthy phone conference with the Chief Performance Officer of the State Department of Education, Ajit Gopalakrishnan, in response to our letter. You might recall the three main points of the letter were, would it be possible to separate the at and near standard when reporting out how students did in the claim areas of math and language arts. The second one was, would they be able to provide more detailed information on students' performance in the claim areas? And the third was, could they provide matched cohort data? I will summarize the conversation, and Craig certainly jump in if I miss any piece of it. But the general sentiment was that the SBAC is a much shorter test than the CMT. You might recall the CMT was over about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 hours a day at times. The entire SBAC test is less than 4 hours. One, typically done in a much shorter amount of time. The language arts itself is around 40 questions, which is much different than the CMT language arts, which was days and days, it seemed like. I provide that background information because some of his answers to our questions are predicated on the fact that it is a shorter test. In terms of separating the at and near standard, and the concern was at and near are two different things. At means you met the standard, near means you're close, but you may not have met it. The reason for that is that a claim area is so few questions, they cannot accurately predict, or not predict, they cannot accurately report if a student met that claim or not. They hesitate to say a student met standard on a particular claim based on, could be as few as 10 or 15 questions on a particular claim. I'm not a statistician or a metrics person, but there's a standard error of measurement. So if a student is near standard, and is within the standard error of measurement, they're considered having been at or near. So basically what he says is, there's too few questions to say a student met the standard or didn't meet the standard, hence the grouping of at and near. There is no movement to change that at this time. That is a national decision, test designers at the national level. With that said, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, our Chief Performance Officer here in Connecticut, sits on the national boards, and he is going to bring our thoughts forward. He did mention that in the CMT
error, where we use, that's ERA, not ERR. You can teach error. He said, it was not uncommon for schools to say, oh, this child did not perform well on these strands. You might remember the math strands, 22 of them or 25 of them. And that data was used very inappropriately because some of those strands were based on as few as 2 or 3 questions. So that's that piece of it. On the more detailed information in regards to strands, the claim areas such as error analysis, he said, please remember the test is adaptive. Students don't all take the same questions, nor do they all take the same difficulty of questions. So to report out on them, like, for example, the most commonly missed type of questions would be difficult because not all students are taking the same test. Good point. They do report out. There's a new report they're releasing. Actually, we just looked at it today, Mr. Powers and myself, called the Target Report. And what it does is it reports out on a school basis how the school did in the claim areas aligned to the Common Core state standards, but it's reported out as an area of relative strength or relative weakness. And what that means is, your school did this well on the test, you did not perform this well on this claim relative to how you did on the overall test. It's not useful in a sense that it might report out as, you did worse than expected, but the kids all met standard on that, but relative to the overall performance on the test. So it's not terribly useful in the sense that you can't really say, oh, that's the area to focus on, because it could have been a met standard claim area, but relative to the overall performance, it wasn't as strong as some of the other areas. Sure, jump in.
What really bothers me is, I'm sure the state of Connecticut is spending a lot of money on these tests. And basically, you're saying that the test is worthless because it has such a margin of error. It is. There's nothing that's valid. So why? Maybe we need another letter that says we should switch tests.
Well, there are. Craig may know the exact count. There are a number of states who have opted out of SBAC.
I don't know the exact count, but there are.
Let's take a vote right now. I just have a question though. If the children don't have the exact same questions, then that doesn't make sense either. Because maybe if they have one of the questions, they would have answered it correctly, and they happen to have the other one. That doesn't make sense if it's not the exact same test, because you're not comparing apples to apples, you're comparing apples to oranges.
Was it by ability that they changed the
Correct. So if you answer
everybody in the 6th grade had a different rate.
Oh, I
understand. Are all in the same place, and as you get questions right or wrong,
you go up or down.
Makes a decision to go this way or that way. On the matched cohort data piece, he says they just put that into place, and they plan to continue to have matched cohort data. So that will be part of the online reporting system moving forward.
Let's opt out. Go, Greg.
What are the implications of this wandering caveat?
I'm not sure of the question.
Well, we've got this test result, but they're saying, but this, but that, is considered this and that, and therefore, we're not certain about this. So I call that a wandering caveat. Why are we to do that with that? But more importantly, how does it impact us? Because they're making judgments based on this test.
Correct.
Right.
Their position is that the overall test is a valid measurement of a student's mastery of a certain content, and that there's a federal law that states have a system of accountability, and our state has chosen to use this test in a future year. Soon, districts and schools will be ranked on a scale of 1 to 5, primarily based on SBAC performance. So,
and that's the implication of being so named. How does that impact on us?
Whether people want to move to your community or not.
Okay, so that's it's a
you're allowed to school. Okay.
I'll defer to the chair.
I just wanted to add that late in the last month we've been using interim assessments, which are not adapted. And the nice thing about those is they report out questions, kids, and the even playing field. We get a lot of interesting data from that. So we actually get more from the interim assessments that we're currently using and the math department's using. So I just wanted to report that those are helpful, and
That's good to know.
they in a sense point us to claims, and they also have some interesting predictions about a particular student, and they also can show you out of a group of kids what were the 5 best and the 5 worst problems. So it's very specific actually, so maybe perhaps more of the directions we find. That's a much better tool. Thank you, Mr. Sachs, for mentioning that. That's a much better tool for us.
Yeah.
He says interim assessment. It's not tied to anything as far as counting for anything in the state other than an instructional tool for our teachers. They use for the format and a lot of other aspects. I feel that it's helpful in that way too.
How often do you do the interim one?
Well, we're planning on doing one a month until that's back. So we finished one and we've done the analysis and we'll do it each month. And I think we're getting a lot more from that than the data we receive.
Could we see the results of that at some point?
Probably just about kids' names, sure.
Yeah.
So you can see some kind
I mean, general,
Yeah.
6th grade, 7th grade.
absolutely. You can
Yeah.
pull up something for you.
Thank you.
I think,
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
we don't mind sharing anything. I think the interim assessments are more of a formative assessment for the school. However, as I mentioned when I gave the SBAC report, I do think that next year I'll be able to provide what's the spring math testing, which we now do K through 11, in addition to the SBAC, to hopefully get us a better level of how we are doing, and maybe some clearer direction on how schools and classrooms can work through the year to maybe better enhance the learning. The difficulty with the SBAC, as you've all articulated, is not quite getting to the classroom level, and so I'm hoping that using the other data point, it's not going to triangulate because it's only 2 data points, but I'm hoping it's going to get closer to the classroom level and maybe be more meaningful for us to make decisions.
Any other comments? Any other correspondence?
The correspondence.
I did have a correspondence from Tom did too with the phone call. Kathleen is just going to be late because she's in Hartford. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. She didn't oversleep. She'll be a little late. She's been working hard. Okay, now we're down to superintendent's report.
Sure. Keep going along. I want to welcome the Chief Mahoney, Waterford PD, Danny Gorman, Executive Director of Waterford Youth Service Bureau. Certainly we're all aware we have ongoing great collaboration with both departments, and Youth Promise is one of those examples, and it really is an important effort here in our district to educate our youth about good decision making as they get older. I think it's a program that targets a very appropriate age. The Chief has kids around that age. So it's just another great example of that. This is a no-action item, more of an informational item tonight, and I know, Craig, you work closely with Danny.
So I just want to, also hearken to the outstanding kind of collaboration that we have in this town. So for our youth service department, our police department to kind of, again, revise what we've done. We've never taken a canned product like, say, Dare and just sort of fed it to our children. We've always made the mindful decision about what is really meets the needs of our community, and for many years we've had the Challenge program, and like any curriculum revision, I think they've done an outstanding job revising that program and making it more useful to today's needs. And I think it's a beautiful complement to the health curriculum that we also have, K-12. And it's nice when I think kids see other faces, like community members, delivering some of that instruction. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Danny and Brett.
Okay. Thank you very much for having us here. We appreciate it, and
echo Craig's sentiments with collaboration between our agencies and the Board of Education and our schools. With that, we will start talking about the youth conference. We, at one point, very early on in my career, when I didn't know any of this stuff, had DARE. And we looked at it as a completely canned program that, as Craig just said, did not really get into the town of Waterford's needs. There was another program called GREAT, and that was Gang Resistance Education and Training. Chief Pendleton at the time worked with members of the board. They took DARE, they took GREAT, they took Waterford's needs, and kind of culled them all down into the Challenge program. And for years and years, Waterford Police Department, Youth Services, and various schools have worked together to promote Challenge and teach it to our youth. Like anything else, it gets a little bit long in the tooth. And I think we are at that point now, and we're looking to change to the Youth Promise program. Primarily, at the time, we focused on drug awareness, and stayed with 10 one-hour lessons for all the 5th graders. At the time of this, there really was no internet. So there was naturally no social media. And I would say that at the time, our drug usage and our drug awareness as a community was a lot lower. What it did do, and what we hope it will continue to do, is foster a great relationship between the children and the police officers and youth services. And again, I keep going back to Craig's comments, but they're very pertinent. It fosters great relationships between all of us, and you don't want a child to be afraid to come up to a police officer in uniform because they're so nervous. So, it was always well received, and as I just
I just wanted to say also, it was very well received, and I also think with this new program, where it has a wonderful group of new officers, continually they always wear such a high mark when they're hiring these new police officers, and our hope is that we will introduce them into the classroom. I know that through our camp experience, every once in a while these young police officers do come, and we're taking them and we put them very well. I know the focus still as a challenge will be the school resource officers, primarily facilitating the program, and I know it's one of Brett's priorities to have the children engaged with these new young officers that will be with them for a very long time.
And some of them are Waterford High School graduates.
They are.
Kind of another thing that we're doing in conjunction/preparation for this is we work with youth services, we work at the middle school with Principal Sachs and Ms. Dolce to come up with a mentoring program. So they recognize the need for some young boys that needed some positive male role models. The police department has matched that up, and again, young police officers with these in this case, boys. That's what was asked of us, and so we'll continue that as kind of a, you got 5th graders here, and you have the middle school children. We're going to try and continue this relationship as we move forward. So, do you want to talk about this?
So we developed these programs based on our satisfaction surveys. The Department of Education requires us to do speed studying from it, requires us to survey everything. So we get a lot of feedback from parents, and we get a lot of feedback from program participants with their children. We also did a drug and alcohol survey this past year. So it allows us to come to a starting point on what we really need to focus on. While DARE was really focused on drug resistance, alcohol, and drugs, this new program is all-encompassing. We'll still touch on those topics of alcohol, resisting drugs, all different types of substances that are actually being discussed out, and those are very familiar with. In time, because DARE has moved along, DARE has updated as well, but this new program really focuses on drugs, alcohol, especially for fifth graders, the tools that they would need so that when they get into those middle years and that leap from 8th grade to 9th grade, which is a year that we find through our surveys is the year that they really sample and test a lot with these drugs and alcohol, that they have these tools under their belt to make better choices for themselves. So we will cover good decision-making, coping skills, internet, and any high-risk circumstances. So what you see here in this book are the real basics, that the program still encompasses a lot of what the children love in challenge, which is the question box. Ask those questions when the school resource officer or the instructors in the classroom. So those things will not go away, the topics are just new and the topics are more up to date. Our hope is to build communication skills, but our focus will always be on substance abuse prevention. We still stay with the 10 one-hour lessons. But this program, I think it's very important to the chief. I was actually really excited when Brett took over as the chief. Chief Pendleton was a little bit not too excited about letting go of challenge, but Brett was actually very open to it. And Brett, and that was Brett and Lieutenant Bellows, who actually asked, is there something that we can do for fourth graders? Is there something that we can do for middle school youth? And so that's always in the works for us. It's something that we will continue to explore. And I think these lessons build on that. And it continues to promote that relationship between the police and the youth. It's still the police officers you'll see in these lessons are very involved in teaching, and they have primarily the majority of the curriculum.
So, basically, lesson 1's an introduction. 2 and 3, as you can see, peer pressure and decision making. 4 through 9, the school resource officer will facilitate it, but I think we're going to get some, as we've been talking about, some other officers in there, so we can kind of bridge that gap and continue to introduce these children to our staff. And then lesson 10, youth services and our promotions. And again, just want to stress that some of the things that were very well received by the kids that have been through this already will remain. So it's been kind of, we work a lot on lessons 1 through 10 and moving them around so that initially the coping strategies start out, self-confidence, peer pressure, etc., and then you end up with laws and the police, citizenship, etc. So they've got the base, the foundation to build on first, and then they get into more specifics towards the end. So as it says here, it's pretty interactive, and we look forward to it.
These are the goals that we hope the students will achieve, that they'll become more responsible, they'll be empowered to make better choices, they'll have new coping skills, better self-awareness, improve their decision-making skills, and of course, strengthen that police-youth relationship, and at the same time to prevent that substance abuse. So, answer questions. I don't know when it's due to start. I know that in the past we've done Great Neck in the fall and Onondaga and Quaker Hill in winter spring. This year we have to get Great Neck, all 3 schools actually, in for this time frame. And I do believe there's some dates on the table.
And again, I just harken back that it's tremendous that both the youth service and police department really have helped, I think, the students of Waterford by really not only writing this curriculum, but doing really national curriculum research to see what are the lessons out there. They just didn't look at 1 or 2 programs. I know Danny's staff looked at a myriad across the nation to find what are the 10 lessons that really they've done, and they've really put the Waterford fingerprints on it, and making the connections with the police department can only help us as a community.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Just
because of the ask, it's just a wonderful thing that you're doing here. Great. But what I wonder is, the problem all across the country. We have news of measuring how successful we are, compared to other communities that are like that.
Well,
What are you doing? I mean, I don't know what more we can do, but I mean, how are we doing actually when we get down to the see what's happening?
we do give the survey from CRAC.
Yes, the Local Prevention Council does survey students at various points in their school careers, and they just did one last year to see how well it's doing, and it did pretty well.
And that person came into an ad team meeting to talk to the principals about the results. And I mean, is any town going to be perfect? The answer would be no. But do the prevalency problems that are around in the communities aren't as high necessarily in Waterford? And I do credit that to really how we, as a community, kept the community atmosphere, and how proactive we are, and then when we have to be reactive, how supportive we are, so it's not just the discipline, but the education afterwards.
That leads me to my next question. What do you do more to make the program even more effective? Do you have any suggestions?
Well, I think that
Are you helping you, you help us,
right, and I think that's one of the discussion points that Danny and I have spoken about, is that we recognize that there's and she's mentioned it already, from 8th to 9th grade, we recognize that there's a tipping point there where students will try more. They'll try things that they haven't tried before, and I think that as this develops, we establish a proper foundation off of this. We've spoken with the educators, spoken together, looking to maybe try and bridge that gap to move this along a little further. And okay, you've strengthened the police-youth relationship here. Let's reintroduce and say, okay, we have a school resource officer, but let's possibly continue this relationship a little further in later grades, so that we are reinforcing our message at that tipping point. So that's what we look forward to down the road, and working together after establishing this.
And I think in addition to that, I think some of the programming we've put in place, such as Positive Foundations at the high school, which targets our high schoolers, part of that is self-esteem, self-awareness, coping skills. Something I'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about. Clark Lane recognized nationally for their embracing of Say Something, which is kind of like the TSA, see something, say something. And it's really educating youth that when they see a friend in trouble or a friend making bad decisions, that part of what they need to do is to go to an adult and say, I think, Steve is in trouble, or I think Susie's in trouble. So, there's no one-size-fits-all or magic solution. It really is all these pieces coming together.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. And I'm just wondering, has it been thought maybe, because if you're looking at this, the grades you're talking about are like transitional years from 4th grade and 8th grade, that maybe at the senior level, to sit down maybe in assembly format to kind of talk to them again and remind them of some of these things and how they could affect them going forward in their adult life.
Yeah, and at that time, I mean, we've had Mothers Against Drunk Driving come in and do an entire Waterford High assembly. In May, we have Danny help me, and to speak about.
His addictive struggles with addiction, and now he's been in recovery for a long time.
So I do think we are making some efforts to try to connect at all levels, but I think making the education at the correct younger age and having their mindset framed is the most helpful.
And we've also intensified offers their youth services. The chief was instrumental in last year implementing a program where his officers, as they go into a home and they suspect substance abuse, maybe a part of the problem that has brought them to the home, they can actually hand them a card, a resource, no questions asked, and they can call youth services for a drug assessment, a substance abuse assessment at no cost to them. And so we've implemented little things along the way so that parents or guardians can use that resources for their children as their children get older, so that they can find healing.
Above all, we work very well with the superintendent and are willing to explore any avenues that you have. Sometimes we're going to have to say no. We haven't said no yet, so we're kind of push over. So if there's an avenue that you as a board decide that you want to pursue, we're certainly open to it. I'm the only police officer in an entire family full of teachers and educators. So believe me, I understand where you're coming from. Look forward to continuing the direction.
I just want to thank you.
I want to put that on in creating this program, developing this program, Craig and Pat were with us along the way, making sure that we were on the right course. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think it's an excellent program. I love the topic that you have. Do you plan on bringing the parents into it at all?
So you see that Brett wrote them a nice little letter.
In the beginning.
At the beginning.
And then we have the promotion.
We have to just have a promotional ceremony.
Yeah.
They leave with something really cute when they graduate. Sometimes it's a sweatshirt, sometimes it's a bag, sometimes it's sunglasses. So we try and give them something for their hard work.
Additionally, as Danny was talking about earlier, I think that one of the things that we really focus on, unfortunately, we have to deal with some kids that are really going through some struggles. And I would say that we end up in these homes at Tuesday morning at 2:30 in the morning when there's nobody around. So we have talked time and time again with everyone here and said, hey, how do we trigger that to show you we were here at this time of the morning. We need your help, during when school starts ramping up or before, and little Joey's going to come to school with an issue. We get the parents involved at that point. Sometimes, unfortunately, get the parents involved. But what we've tried to do is open lines of communication through the superintendents and let them know that these issues have occurred and this is what's going to come to you, principals, in the morning. And that's how we kind of get our parents involved. And we as the police department don't want to get involved in the education process. We want you all to handle things through your schools and through your avenues. But just know that at any point we're here to help the parents and the school system kind of move that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No. Switch it. Oh, no, I didn't. I was answering no to Joey's question.
Okay, next item, what is it?
Sure. We have a great presentation from Great Neck coming up about literacy in action in our elementary schools. Certainly the board is well aware. We've seen some significant changes in literacy over the last couple of years with Reader's Workshop and Writer's Workshop, which does not happen without hard work from our teachers. Some of those teachers are here tonight. While this is Great Neck, much of this work is going on across the district in each of the elementary schools. But I think what you'll see tonight is, the staff and the students at Great Neck really embracing literacy. I think you'll see a lot of smiles, which isn't always the case in schools around the country when it comes to reading and writing. At this point, I'll hand it off to Pat, principal at Great Neck.
Our
motto is Great Neck School has kids who smile.
There you go.
I'm reporting to you also, this is Kim Tedesco, who is our literacy coach. And when I talked to Kim a few months ago about doing something to show you what was on a Great Neck School, at first we thought it would be multiple visits in the classrooms. And she said, well, I'll take my iPad, I'll go around and I'll see what it looks like, and then I'll start going back in. She came back a while later and said, I'm getting so much I don't know what to do with it all. No one needed to prepare ahead of time. This is real-time stuff. The only editing we did was you'll see a little boy in the 3rd grade, little blonde, named Scott, and I think you edited 6 minutes from him because he wouldn't stop talking. So the other day I felt guilty that we had taken so much out of it, and I had him come in and I said, Scott, what else do you want people to know about Reader's Workshop, Writer's Workshop, reading at Great Neck? And he said, well, reading's easy, sometimes it's hard. It's very fun once you get the hang of it. Don't worry about workshop model and all kinds of things, but if you get the hang of it, you're going to be just fine. So, Kim, thank you for all your hard work, and this is real time at Great Neck School.
This is like a moment, not like a really one snippet of a day. And as I was filming, the hard part for me was, well, maybe tomorrow will be even better. So around the room, we brought some props, but they're really working documents. The kids were very clear with me. I need it tomorrow, and I was literally pulling them out of their hands to come here to see me off in school. So these are important pieces of work. Some are celebrations at the end of the unit, but the way we work in elementary is fast, and they can't wait for the next day, and it is very rigorous, and they don't ever buckle to the pressure. It's all hands-on, everybody involved, all day, every day. It's so much fun. My job is great, and you're going to see why. But when Ted starts it, just know that these are just photographs. The kids are working very, very purposefully, and the tools that you see around the room, the charts, those are very, very important to them. And you can walk into any class and ask any child what are you working on in reading, what are you working on in writing, and they can tell you. They can tell you their reading levels, they can explain to you where their goals are for the next place. So it's amazing. We weren't there 3 years ago, but we're there now. So, how do you know so much about wolves? Because I read the book and I have a in the backyard. Welcome to Second Grade. For the past few weeks, we've been working on nonfiction and reading. These are a few things you need to learn from reading. You don't just look at the pictures, but they are important too. Just look at the words too, because they teach you about real life things. These are the things you need to know about writing. Set goals and make plans. Think, who's my audience? What do they want to learn? Help readers picture information. Help readers with attention needs. Ask a question. Clear up with confusion. Answer questions. And this is my book about dogs. This is my table of contents. Behavior, food, care, reward, habitat, baggage, fun facts. Welcome to third grade. In third grade, we've been learning about Connecticut, and we made brochures, and we had to do a lot of research. We did reading and writing to complete these brochures. In nonfiction reading, I had to look at the text features, and we had to study them a lot because they meant something very important. And we had to think a dot for something important. And you have to focus on the main idea of what the author is trying to tell you, so it can give you evidence to what you're trying to look for. And when you're doing the writing part, first, you have to look at your stop and jot and pick the stuff that you need to put on here. Like, your readers don't really want to know about, like, there's 100 McDonald's in the state. Like, they would get interested in that. They would want to know, like, the Mashantucket Pequot Museum tells about the history of the Mashantucket Indians. And then, they would be like, oh, really? I want to go there. And then you have to put that stuff on a sheet like this, and then make sure it's correct spelling, and then you type it either into a computer. You need to know what the right thing is about. And then click it on the computer, drag it over, and all of that goes up. Your readers wouldn't want to see that. They would want to see the real picture of the real hero. We hope you learned a lot about Connecticut. Thank you.
Oh my God, adorable.
the fourth day, everyone. So, in fourth grade, we are doing personal essays about what we would care about. And it's an opinion that really should be able to answer questions or a sentence. You'll have to invite them to help you, like, to when you do this. And you also have to pick a topic that you know a lot about. Even if you have to join ideas, you have about the topic that you really care about. Next, you would start with a bullet. You have to pick bullets for some special things you did there, and then you have to have bullets after that. Yeah. The next thing we'll revise it and edit it. So then after that you would publish it on a film. There'll be a lot on our Chrome, once you publish it, you want to make a lot of mistakes. You can just fix the spelling and stuff, so it'll be a lot easier. But before that, it's like read you write your essay about special person. Thank you. I really think that Tinka can turn unusual because when you go to school, they usually wish that you have pets that was just a baby. But she's so much into it. I think she's going to be a really powerful character. She's trying to help them with that. Yeah, I also think that the hat is a symbol because like the hat stands out, and I think like Brenda and Tim stand out a lot. And the symbol is the hat because it's from his dad, and he can see daddy, and he died because he like when he like talks about it, because it was from his dad, he was kind of like in a sad mood, and it also makes him Alexa has that the mom didn't want Jacob to wear the hat because I think it reminded her of his father.
I'd like to really thank Pat for showcasing her school, and thank Tim Pedeswa, our literacy coach, for capturing these moments, and where you can see kind of the workshop approach in action and really how engaged the students are. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. Any comments or questions?
Just a couple of comments to finish up this topic. I think you saw a good amount of technology being used. So when this board makes budgetary decisions around technology each and every year, our students appreciate and are using that, as our teachers are as well. And I think the other piece that I would want to emphasize in this is that it's not a CAN program, it's not a textbook workshop approach. It's a tremendous amount of work on the part of our teachers to really assess where kids are,
and really self-designing a program each and every day to say, where is this student at? What books should they be reading? What should they be writing about? What am I working on with them? Conferencing, which you didn't see in this video, is an integral part of the process. Really, the teacher and the student, or a small group of students meeting. It's a lot of work, but I think we're seeing great benefit each and every day in our classes, so thank you.
And to that end, I really think the success in Waterford, because as you heard Pat say, well, you know, it's been 3 years ago where we are today. I really firmly believe we wouldn't be where we are today without the continued sort of professional development that the coaches bring, because it is a lot of work. Our teachers do a tremendous job, but like any of us, we need some support along the way in order to really go deep into the content. So thank you.
Just a few more minutes of your time on some of the great work happening in the district. I know in your package was some information about college and career pathways. It's a new approach we are putting together. We're rolling it out at the high school right now as course registration begins. It really is part of a broader concerted effort to really highlight the great work going on in our district. And really this process began last spring by sitting down and saying, what have students told us about what they're looking for out of a comprehensive high school? What do we have? Are we portraying that in the best way possible to our students and families? And this is really the last 6 months of work, really in a package for you to see. Andre Hauser, who is sick today. Allison's convinced he failed on the season now. He did offer to come in for this, and I told him no. But I'm confident Allison will portray the hard work.
My doctor's note.
And I know
a little less eloquent than everybody.
Mr. Adler, certainly Director of School Counseling, an integral part of this work as well.
So the pathways are really just a way to structure fields of study. We didn't change any curriculum at all or revise courses. We simply repackaged what we already have so that it's organized into sort of majors for kids to consider. And we did this because really the primary reason is just to make the learning more relevant to students. So we want to pull them in and have them understand how their academics are tied to what they're going to be doing in the future. Whether they're going off to study in college or going right into the world of work. And we think it's a good idea to do that in high school. We're not trying to narrow the focus by any means for kids by having them opt into a major early on in 9th grade. We're really just giving them an opportunity to explore something that they think they're interested in. Tom had talked about he originally went to college as a pharmacy major and spent some money studying that before he So we're giving students an opportunity to try out some of those courses in high school to consider that path before they're investing serious money into it. We also wanted to provide better customer service for parents and for kids. So we have all these great courses, but we didn't really have them organized in a way that made sense necessarily. And so we repackaged. And this was a collective effort. Tom and Craig really provided the vision for this, the idea of fine-tuning our program of studies. We revamped the whole program of studies. Jason spearheaded it with the counseling department, and we worked with the department chairs to figure out which courses aligned with which fields of study. And then Caroline made it look all nice. She did all those individual pamphlets that are great because they don't just list the courses and the co-curricular things that we offer, but they let kids know what careers are out there in this particular area. So we've organized into 6 different pathways: marine science, health services, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, leadership and public service, business, hospitality, arts, and communication. So in each pathway, there's a lot of opportunities for kids, and there's a lot of different fields of study. So in leadership and public service,
that's a gamble from police officer to a teacher. So we're not locking kids in. We're just trying to let them know, if this is something you think you're interested in, these are the courses, these are the clubs, these are the activities that you should consider throughout your 4 years. And Jason and the other counselors are working with the kids then to develop a comprehensive 4-year plan. So we're still doing all of our liberal arts, important, comprehensive academic classes. These are just the elective courses that students can opt in for.
Purely optional. We're not saying
Absolutely optional.
We're not
Right.
saying to every ninth grader pick one.
Yeah.
These are possibilities.
Right. And there's a lot of flexibility. Courses, they may find statistics, if you look in your sheet, statistics is in almost every pathway. So there are some courses speech within a lot of different pathways. So they'll see how important these classes are. If statistics is listed in 5 of the 6 pathways, this is probably a course that's valuable. So we're trying to link them in and have them understand the course. And so this is really a very, first step, primary beginning to this. We do want to continue to move on and refine the pathways. And actually, we started with 16. So we have refined and toned it down a little bit. And we want to come up with a way for kids to have it marked on a transcript or a diploma or some kind of certificate where if they do concentrate and they fulfill certain requirements, we want them to be acknowledged for that. And for colleges to see that. Maybe a capstone project, a senior project geared toward that pathway. But that's down the road. We're not there yet. Jason, did I miss anything?
Just like that, if you don't mind, guys.
Yeah.
So, as Allison, every year we meet with all of our students individually. The big production that's the focus of our curriculum right now. And we do a 4-year plan each time. But it's never had, I don't believe, the thoroughness that we can provide in so much information to try and do in a very limited time setting. We've been taking kids in classes, the worst case scenario, or study halls before and after school, or even during the lunch hour, really dangerous. So we have a 4-year plan. We have a class each year. What do you think you're doing now? But we're like the relative of Thanksgiving. They don't know what they want to do with their life. Giving them some ideas. We do that, but I think within our biases that we have, we might just really did this rather than how we can present. Here's a potpourri. You've been seeing all these classes forever, but maybe they blended together. Here's an actual pathway, which we hope will get them excited. We run lessons now when we say, here are the top 5 hiring jobs for the next 14 years. We look at the Department of Labor. We say, so you want a job? Do you want to do something you like? Is there something to mesh together? So we hope you can do both. But we're looking and we say, well, what are the places that hire you? How is there the healthcare field? And so we say, these are the things you need to know. So we gave a lot of data, but now we can look at those careers within a context of what can you do in high school? You're just a kid. But working at private school, extracurriculars, which I think we didn't mention much of, but if you look in the pamphlet, the emphasis is not just the in-school, but the co-curricular things might include work, not just things that are specific to school, church, voice state, all those things. These are all very important. And you get answers, and now it's a little more official. And I will say, I'm not sure who advertised this, but I already tried with Tom. Some of the districts are asking us for this information, and we had to hold off until this meeting. So,
When you go home tonight, you can...
I think I will not say this, with your permission. Alan did a great job.
We've all done it, they tried it. Thank you.
You made a comment, I think it was specific, that you see in all these different pathways, that's a very common area. All right? I don't know what people are like there, or assume they're like what I was like. When I was in this school, I would suspect that most of them have no idea where they're going to end up. Now, some will have a pretty good idea. With that in mind, how do you encourage kids to go to pathways that keep as many options open for them as possible until they decide, or if you're in a position to decide, probably when you're in college, that you've laid the foundation for them, you've given that opportunity, you've kind of steered them, instead of letting them just kind of ramble around like marbles in the water.
Yeah, so,
And part of the graduation requirement you set. That gives a structure, a skeleton that really doesn't take up a majority of the credits they can take. Within vocational and art credits that you guys determine a credit and a half, or maybe we can go higher than that. It gives a structure saying, okay, so these are things you have to take. How do we make it the most meaningful for you when you like it? They don't know. Someone people that not just know too. I'm serious about that. Very few people know that for that kind of clarity.
Don't we want, with your life coach, don't we want to, don't somebody has a clear cut, don't we want to kind of guide them to keep their options open?
Absolutely.
We absolutely do, and what we're also hoping by showing the myriad of electives is instead of just defaulting to have like a study hall in the schedule, maybe try something like else, and I think we've done good work trying to open up our departments with different electives, so it's not just everyone takes, say, World History 1 and World History 2, but now we have six semesters, of which 4 are graduation requirements, and maybe you want to take something else, or maybe you want to take some tech ed items, because we do have a good, excellent, comprehensive high school.
Chase, I don't know if you want to mention what the role Naviance and interest surveys play in to
Well, each year, part of our student success plan, which is one of the acronyms of the state, we have wonderful technology that you provided us, a web program called Naviance, which is our college career portal. That's what we did the partner graders and stuff. Freshman year, we do personality inventory, which is connected. We want to emphasize that it is connected to careers and curriculum that we lead to the majors in those careers. We really try each year to show how they build on one another. Second year is careers. We do a career search for sophomores. Junior year, we do a college resume, but also for work resume, and then senior year is all about usually the next step, applying for jobs, applying to college and whatnot. So each year when we have those lessons and then the individual planning sessions and then advisory visits, we do try and reinforce, but I think Craig said it's true. Sometimes we hard to convince kids to commit a year to something they didn't know if they wanted or not. By breaking things in half, we don't cut the curriculum at all, but we give them a taste of something. So for instance, criminal justice has been happier for a very long time, but recently we made it into an advanced class. We have standard, advanced, and honors levels, and I prefer the unlevel, so everyone would take it, but literally there was so many pre-law government kids who would never take the class to improve their rank. And so I think we are adjusting as a school based off of student needs and requests. And of course, this year we have our computer science class, which, you know, we all say it's about time, but it's hard to get things invested in the curriculum, and they're chock full. I mean, seniors aren't getting into them. So we are adapting as we can to the interests of our students, but also, I think, to the work. So I think the combination of what we do outside of the classroom and with the graciousness of teachers when we go into teach our lessons, and what the teachers do by saying, this is our background, this is how we got to where we are, and the reinforcement that we have when we do all of our, you know, full school presentation. We emphasize where things lead, both in terms of decision making, like Danny and the police are doing, but also in terms of career.
And I would just encourage the board, if they'd like to see the full program of studies, to go at the Waterford High page, and on the left-hand side on the shortcut is the full program of studies, just to see the array of courses that really accompany the preface that you have tonight.
And I will email you that link so you don't have to hunt for it.
The other thing I think that's really valuable, Jason, is that these can be used to keep our kids attending Waterford High School as a recruiting tool, because they're leaving for things like the engineering program or the STEM program at other high schools. So if we can get these into the hands of 8th grade parents, okay.
Last week it started.
Okay.
The minute we saw this 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
I was so happy to see the positive, confident public relations
Yeah.
draw, and the first one you see is really
Yeah.
great.
It is.
And my understanding is, like the transition programs that you guys were talking about, or whoever, that maybe between 8 to 9 years into all the rest. My understanding from Tom is that this is the first bout or in this effort that local schools will be doing it similar that will start at the high school, the flagship school.
Have we thought about adding all the sports they offer though?
You know, we have talked about that too. And I think what Allison said is, this is really our first draft, and I think it's a draft worth publishing and getting out there, but it's not something that we're just going to rest upon. We're going to go deeper each year, and as Allison also alluded to, we're looking. One of the policies we'd like to bring to the board is graduation policy with some maybe recommended changes. So we'd like to look at that and how that could help us. And then, how we market our schools, I think, is just part of our business today. So that would be ongoing.
I thought that all of the brochures were excellent. I can't imagine anybody not wanting to come to us. So thank you very much.
Some of the PR materials in front of you, I'm not going to go through them with you. Much of this is in working form. Are we using them? Absolutely. Certainly we're open to your input, but there's a 8-pager overview of the Washington Public Schools. There's a 1-pager. Are important in terms of realtors, these types of things. They're important in terms of employers who recruit talent to Eastern Connecticut. Beyond just informing our own families what we offer. So a lot of possibilities, and as Allison and Caroline have done a lot of the design of things, which we appreciate. I want to thank Great Neck School for the artwork in the conference room in the hallway. Seems to be Great Neck night here. Board of Ed. I mentioned just a few moments ago, and certainly has informed the district and the board previously, Clark Lane recently recognized on a national level as a runner-up for national recognition for State Company Week in the Community Reach and Sustainability category, and that really came out of the Sandy Hook Promise Foundation, and Clark Lane has really embraced that concept. Had a very successful launch week, and I think Mr. Sachs could confirm we have seen results of launching this, where we have had students come forward and report information to us. It's hard to say it's a direct causal relationship, but it's a piece of the puzzle, so congrats to Clark Lane. I wish the high school give off this weekend as they launch the Crucible with Watford Drama. Wish them well with that. Next week we'll see the 3rd session of our Teacher Leadership Academy, which is a new endeavor this year. We have some folks here in that. 17 teachers getting targeted professional development and leadership. Our 3rd of 5 sessions is next week. Great Neck principal search is kicking off. You might have heard Pat is retiring at the end of the year. We will certainly miss her leadership and presence at Great Neck, but we want to make sure that we are out ahead of our competitors for recruiting talent. So we'll be launching this search early next month with a posting. So surveys have gone out to staff, surveys have gone out to the Great Neck parent community to garner feedback on the type of person and candidate that we're looking for. One person wrote, their name has to be Pat, so... we look forward to that, and certainly involve the staff and community in that search. And you might recall our first budget workshop is February 9th at 6 o'clock in this room, and we look forward to sharing where we are in the budget process. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Okay, now we're on to committee and other reports. All of you read the Finance Committee meeting minutes, January 17th. Any comments?
The only point I would make is that in the minutes references a discussion about the roof was done and the town of Waterford. And the key point there is with the town of Waterford. So the whole point of that is to make the town aware to show that there are some market changes to what must be addressed in police negotiations going forward.
Thanks. Okay, are there any committee reports? Okay. I have a school building committee report. I'm happy to report that we only have a few items left and we can close out the high school. We have to wait until springtime to do the remainder of the plantings. The cameras are it's an ongoing project that Jay's been working on to make sure all the cameras are installed where they're necessary. And the curtain, was that installed in the high school gymnasium? That's all done now?
No, not yet.
Not yet, pretty soon. Okay, and then we still have, around $500,000 left in the account that we'll be able to turn back to the town, which I'm really happy about. And I'm really proud of Jay. I mean, he and his crew have worked very hard to keep everything in place and on time and everything else. And then the school building committee, I think, has done an excellent job. You know, they watch every penny, they go through everything, and I think we've had a really good result. And our high school is a building to be really proud of.
The only thing I would add
It's unbelievable when a kind of that's
Yeah.
You think of how long these building projects.
From beginning to end.
These people have gone through. I don't know if we all appreciate it. Especially in the past. Thank you very much for all your efforts.
The only thing I would add to the school building report is the school building committee did take a motion and it was approved last meeting to accept the project, which would precipitate action by this board at our next board meeting in February to accept the project, and that triggers the town finance director to work with the state on closing it out. So you'll see action.
Which is a process.
Yeah, it takes about a year, they said?
Yeah.
They have
I'd have an office
A lot of paperwork to go through.
Yes. You've lived
It's
that.
like the blueprint. Okay, I just have a really short use of report. Over the Christmas holidays, they serviced over 155 families. So they're able to make 155 families in Waterford very happy. That includes senior citizens and, you know, parents of young children and other families. They're going to start their after-school programs again. That includes babysitting, and they have a great babysitting program. And as Danny said, the Youth Promise program, they've been instrumental in helping and working with the town, with our fifth graders. I think they do an excellent job. And I have some really great news. Chris Gigliotti, who works with Danny, he's the assistant program director. He and his wife just welcomed a little girl, Mila, to their family. She's adorable. So I want to wish them well. Okay. I don't think Kathleen?
Still not on your board, you think?
No, you go ahead. Okay.
I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board and public that we're beginning session and all the bills have been brought forward, and just to let you know that I did introduce over half a dozen different bills related to our district in an attempt to try to help with, and these bills will go out statewide, they would be. And it's one big issue that we've all talked about here is the ECS funding formula. I can't guarantee, but I think there'll be some room going forward on the Education Committee to look at that. I can't guarantee it, but I think that's one area. Also, I put in a bill to look at the disparity in magnet school funding, particularly under the RESC and the preschool education, so that was another one directly tied. And I'd like to recognize Tom and our other superintendents here in southeastern Connecticut, because the discussion that we've had for a long time is to looking at some relief of Band-Aids, particularly in the area of professional development, and seeing if we can give some of that discretionary power to our superintendents locally. So I think there is going to be interest on the state level to look at the enormous amount of Band-Aids that we place on local boards. So that will be also going forward. Now, I can't guarantee anything, but we're putting in various bills to try to relieve some of these onerous mandates on boards of education. And there are many others. If you'd like me to, in working with Tom, I can, but these are generated from our discussions and from having ongoing communication in all these different areas. So I can leave you that information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In our packet, we have the enclosure with the draft of our committees. Do all we want to stay on the ones that you're on the list? The only time I guess the governing board,
it's still active through June 30th, 2017. So, I mean, it's relevant for the next 6 months.
Okay.
And at that point, they're looking at regional representation of all magnets.
Okay.
One
So we'll leave it
governing board.
for-
I think leave it for 6 months.
Is that okay then, Anna?
I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's
Okay. So I need a motion that the Waterford Board of Education approves the committee assignment for January through December 2017. So moved. Okay, Marcia, is there a second? Anybody? All right. Oh, Ann, sorry. Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Okay, now we're down to discussion of possible action regarding the textbook adoption for the technology education.
And I would just ask if Craig Merriman might just sort of pass the two textbooks to the board for them to review. You'll recall last spring we did.
Martha, was that you?
We did revise some of our tech ed offerings, and we've included some web application, some computer science classes. As you heard tonight, highly sought after from our students, so we talk about relevance. We purposely chose not to marry the curriculum with the instructional material at that time because, as you recall, we had, of our tech ed department district-wide, 4 of our 6 tech ed teachers retire. So we really wanted to have the new teachers look at our curriculum and do the textbook research to find what really fits with the curriculum that they're comfortable with in moving forward. And after thorough research has been done, to bring you the Beginning Android Application Development and the Android Programming for Beginners texts, I am asking, normally I give the board 2 meetings to do this review before adoption. I am asking if you could accelerate that and approve them tonight so that we could implement them for second semester, which started yesterday. If approved tonight, would be paid for through the Perkins funds, so we're not using Board of Ed funds, state funds instead, because we can through these, and we would have them, if approved tonight, in a very quick turnaround so that the students can get their hands on them soon.
Is that
Your approval of 9.3 on the agenda?
I'm sorry?
9.3, he's moving for approval of 9B.
Oh, okay. Is there a second? Right.
Yeah, I'll do that. Craig, can you just elaborate a little, so the Perkins grant has the sufficient funding in place?
Yeah, so Perkins grants are used 6 through 12 for tech ed, culinary, and business. And within those funds, we have some equipment that we get and some materials that we get. And our LTS coordinator manages the Perkins grant, and we were able to sort of revise the budget to accommodate this request based upon the needs of the department this year. Because last year when we gave a draft to the State Department of what the needs were, it was based upon the faculty that were retiring. So there was some revisions that are done with the allocated amount that we have. So we have a fixed amount, we're just sort of now using it for this.
This won't, it won't take away from any of those other areas that we look at under Perkins.
Generally speaking, Perkins grant is a way to augment and supplement existing materials. So it's like an ability to get a little bit more for that department. And all 3 departments that could receive Perkins funds are comfortable with this decision, as April Collins has let me know.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Questions?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying those books are really good too. Speaking for the nerd on the board here.
I'm glad you understand them.
No, but it talks about Java programming language, which is used professionally all over the place. That's what my background is, and that's a really good introductory material into that world. I think it will serve students well.
That is good to know. I have a process question. For a textbook, how many, did the whole department review this? Is there a curriculum group that looks at like multiple resources before they come up with?
Great process question then. So in the book itself, there's a regulation.
I looked through that,
And so we want to evaluate myriad of materials. And so in the decision-making process were the teachers that teach the class and the department head. And then that's reviewed with the building principal before it's set my way. And then I review it before I get comfortable bringing it to the Board of Ed. So vetting has occurred. As I said, normally we give the board a little processing time if they want to take it for the month and bring it back. But because we'd like to implement this year,
Thank you.
Craig, do you anticipate a lot of students signing up for that time?
It started already.
Then we better vote. Okay, any more discussion or questions? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Okay, now we're down to the second reading of policies,
as the board chose, we went with the 3 hours, and if approved tonight, then it would go in effect tonight. So hopefully we won't have to enact it on the time.
Okay. Someone like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Lisa? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried unanimously. Ian? Okay, is there a second? Okay, just a comment. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carried.
I'm gonna miss the February 16th. Yes, but I'll be at the night.
So it's not what